Another advantage of autism is a lot of autistic people tend to have a strong sense of justice. Now, the reason for that comes down to a number of factors. It's not just to do with the brain or to do with their social situation or their experiences in life, but rather has something to do with both. Now, when you're a kid, it's not uncommon to hear children say things like, "it's not fair." But when I was a kid, when I said something was unfair, what I was referring to was literal situations that I would look at the pros and the cons of both sides of an argument, for example, and then one would make sense in terms of it's not just pragmatic and practical and it yields a lot of results or progress, but also it would have the best outcome in terms of how people feel. People feel satisfied or happy or treated correctly. And then the other side might seem more based on the pragmatic and the practical, but actually be letting people down or put some people at a disadvantage. Now, if I saw a situation like that when I was a kid, that's what I would refer to as unfair, because it is literally unfair. And the thing is, when you're someone with autism, you may go through life with multiple experiences from a young age up to when you're an adult, or all the way through your life, in fact, where you'll come across several situations where people mistreat you or say something offensive. And I'm not saying necessarily they're doing it to be offensive, but it's because there's still a lot not understood about the condition. And it's hard for people who don't have autism to entirely understand with someone who does have autism where they're coming from. And it can come down to a number of things. It's like schools tend to let down children with autism a lot, even when they have like facilities in place designed or designated to help them with whatever they're struggling with, because sometimes it's not giving them the kind of help that they need. It's like the TA system. In lots of schools, there's a TA system where you'll have a teaching assistant assigned to a child who has special difficulties or learning disabilities, like autism, for example. And if they have a TA, the idea is that they will literally assist the child in their work, keep them focused on the task, keep their brain in the lesson, in the subject, and help them with anything they're finding difficult or finding hard to understand. But from my experience, a lot of the time, TA systems don't work with everyone. For some students I've met, they work really well. They like it. They like having someone there who can push their focus towards where it should be, instead of letting them be a bit spacey or distracted by something else going on around them. But like in my case, I actually found it more distracting to have someone there, and also a little bit degrading. And I have met other people with autism that when they were a kid, if they were assigned a TA, found it degrading to have someone there who had to tell them how to work everything out, because there is this element of independence when you have autism. You do. A lot of people with autism, depending on where they are on the spectrum, want a sense of independence. They want to be able to feel like not like they fit in, but like there's not something wrong with them. It's different. There's a big difference between saying you have challenges or difficulties and saying something's wrong with you. And it's like a trick, like when they want to get into that mind space where they know it's not something's wrong with them, it's just that they're struggling, but they will get there. So that's what I was like. But in terms of like strong sense of justice, that's where it comes down to. That's where how it gets influenced. Because if you have autism, a lot of the time you'll see situations where there's a practical side and a fair side, and you'll see the other side where it doesn't seem so fair at all, even if it's just treated as norm. One phrase I hate especially is when I say, right, how come this is happening when that's totally unfair? And then I've heard people say, oh, well, that's just the way it is. And that's not enough for me. I want to know why it is the way it is. Who's responsible for it? Why can't it change? Why can't it change for the better? And because of that, it's not uncommon for lots of people with autism to actually go into areas of expertise or career choices where they really try to make a change in the world. Because it's one thing when you're a kid and you say something's unfair, and adults look at you and they just roll their eyes and they go, oh, well, okay, yeah, you're a kid, you think everything's unfair. When sometimes they are literally referring to something that is genuinely unfair, and there's a simpler approach. It's like Occam's razor. Sometimes the simplest solution is the right one. And that's not always true, of course not. That has to be applied to something specific. But at the same time, there are a lot of problems in the world that do have simplistic solutions, or can have simplistic solutions, and yet they're not practiced or undertaken because everyone just brushes it off as, no, it's a big problem, so we must have a complicated solution, when it doesn't need to be. There's no reason for it. And it's hard to put into words, honestly. Another thing with autism, it's hard explaining itself, but I'm doing the best I can here. So, yeah, but like I said, an advantage of autism is a strong sense of justice, because it ties into your own experiences when you might have experienced something, whether it's in the school system or simply being bullied, or when you get older and you, for some reason, you are denied accessibilities that otherwise should be yours, and usually based on very, very small details that make absolutely no sense. Like, because again, autism isn't a linear thing. It's not like everyone's autism is the same, or they have the same difficulties, same issues, or they need the same kind of support. It's different for every individual, and for some reason that's hard for some facilities to get their head around. So yeah, but I just thought as an advantage it was worth bringing up. And like I said, I'm actually finding it really hard to describe what I mean when I'm talking about some of these things. But I'm not going to script it, because I want people to try and see how my brain works when I'm talking, if that makes sense. Anyway, but for now, I think that's a good place to leave the video. If you have anything to say, or if you understand what I'm trying to put forward and you want to, you know, put your own opinions or your own thoughts into the comment section, then please do. Also put questions or requests for future videos. And if you like this video, then please leave a like, repost it, because it raises awareness and it'll help my channel as well on TikTok. And hopefully, you know, the more you talk, the more, well, I just said awareness. It's that simple. The more you talk, the more awareness there is. And then besides that, like I said, leave a like or subscribe to the YouTube channel if you're interested. Same videos, but I'm still finding my feet with both platforms, and we'll see where it goes. But aside from that, I hope you've enjoyed the video. I hope you'll see you in the next one. And that's all I got to say for today. Otherwise, have a great day, and I'll see you soon. Bye!